You know, when you look back in time just a few decades, you can see how we used to live, with more freedom, more laughter, more dancing, more love, and also a life of peace in the main. It was a world before technology that is destroying freedom, controlling lives, and spying on almost every human being. Our crazy, mixed-up, biology-disavowing, unhinged society is crumbling before our eyes, and it's largely intentional. Now here's the thing. It all started with technology, the internet, emails, mobile phones, social media, likes and shares, etc. It was the start of the dumbing down of the population, particularly the young, who soaked it all up like a sponge. Now we have smart TVs that listen to you, watch you, and send all the info back to whoever. Alexa, well, that does the same. Mobile devices that track you wherever you go, how long for, and who you talk to, and what you say. Computers with cameras and microphones, but only you can decide when they get switched on, right? Okay. The so-called elite 1% think that the people with the most wealth should be in charge of the world. Democracy, they say, is a failed experiment. There are far too many people on the planet, and something has to be done. And climate change became the official reason for all the dystopian changes that are now underway. Having planted some of their number in nearly every government in the world, and buying the World Health Organization with donations from the likes of Bill Gates, it all kicked off with COVID-19. 3+ years later, and this is how the world has changed. Let's recap. In the UK, uncounted numbers of people are dead or seriously ill after taking state-sanctioned jabs, supposedly for COVID. Info on the UK government's own website declared that it was not suitable for pregnant women or babies, but that was soon ignored as jabs were given to just about anybody who agreed. It seems too that there's always a new strain. Hundreds of excess deaths are recorded every day, with little or no reporting on mainstream media and no official investigation. The current death toll is approximately 1,000 plus people every single month. 50% of women who took the jab suffer from what is termed interrupted menstruation. In other words, their natural cycle is in crisis. The World Health Organization is clawing power from the British government and others across the world so that only they can decide when a pandemic is declared. They will also declare mandatory vaccinations for everyone, with no exceptions. The British government are signing up to this very soon, so there'll be no more autonomy over your own body. That's scary. The WEF also want digital currency. That's an end to cash that you can spend where you want and on what you want. Identity chips under the skin. That chip contains your full identity status, medical history, etc. 15-minute ghettos are happening now. Insane 20-mile-an-hour zones are also being adopted. The lithium batteries in electric vehicles spontaneously catch fire even when the car is unattended. Firefighters battle for a long time to extinguish the fires, plus they have a tendency to reignite even 24 to 48 hours after the first fire is out. We are totally ignoring the hydrogen-fueled car wowing everyone in China and Japan at the moment. Safe, convenient and zero emissions. Recently, 1.5 million parents of young children took to the streets in Canada to protest the teaching of transgender and multigender ideology to kids in school. The warped Canadian government insists it should decide what your child learns, not you. Someone should tell Trudeau that there's a difference between teaching and indoctrination. Similar deranged ideologies infesting British schools, including female pupils at many high schools having to ask for a period pass to leave the class to go to the toilet. Now that is morally reprehensible. Transgender and gender-neutral books are also contaminating our schools and corrupting the minds of our kids with this nature-disavowing woke stupidity. There are only two genders, male and females. Gender and sex are the same thing. There are only two. That's nature, that's science, that's basic biology. Millions of economic migrants are invading the UK, Europe and the USA because of insidious open border policies. Nations will of course lose their identity, just right for a one world government perhaps. In the UK, the new online safety bill, currently being fast-tracked through Parliament, is more of a way of silencing dissent from the government narrative, to stifle and extinguish free speech in the UK forever. This will also open the floodgates on so-called hate speech prosecutions and the silencing of free speech forever, something our forefathers fought 2 world wars to prevent from happening. Some colleges and universities are removing any book printed prior to 2008. Apparently anything ever written by any scholar, scientist or academic prior to the millennials generation is not worthy of this brave new world. Perhaps they will burn all the books. Who knows? Police are not responding to burglaries and thefts, preferring to send gangs of police to the home of someone who offended another to harass and arrest them. The breakdown of police willingness to respond to real crimes in our towns and cities has led to the invasion of large stores and supermarkets by groups of violent thugs who proceed to grab all they can carry and make a quick getaway. Police rarely even attend. Society is disintegrating and fast. What has happened to our police force? Now, is this planet doomed? Of course not. Mankind may be facing catastrophe of his own making, but it has little to do with climate change. That may be the go-to mantra of those psychopaths at the top of the food chain. That's only for your benefit, to scare you rigid. They know that climate change is natural and ongoing, and that is why they still fly around the world in their atmosphere-polluting private jets, as do the top film stars and pop stars, even the politicians and others attending all those climate change conferences. As far as I can see, there are 4 possible endgame scenarios here for planet Earth. The first one, number 1. This is the only option that you, the people, can actually help to make happen. The other 3 options are possible if you do nothing. The people in nations across the planet reject wholeheartedly the removal of their natural rights and freedoms, and must tell everyone in positions of so-called authority, from local councils to parliaments, that they will be removed by the people if the stupidity continues. The British Parliament is a circus, a pantomime of self-serving, dishonest, shallow people there for their own personal financial gain. This must end and be replaced with a parliament of honest, ordinary people working for the good of all. Gender ideology in schools and universities will cease. Gender dysphoria will be recognised once again as a mental condition. Our government must never relinquish the rights of its people to international organisations. Cash will remain. Police forces across the country will be severely reorganised. The giant tech companies must remove all spyware, including personal information data collection technology. There must always be elected people who serve the ordinary people each day without lobby or favour. Old-fashioned law and order must be returned. In short, common sense must return. In the words of John Lennon, "You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one." The people are the many. The ideologues with their warped view of humanity are few. That will be a good start. Number 2, the 1% will get their way. and you will all live a life of control and mind-numbing repetitiveness and boredom, those of you that remain. 3. Technology comes to a sudden and life-changing halt, caused perhaps by intervention from 3 possible sources, which I'm not going to go into at this time. And 4. Nature, the energy of the universe and planet Earth itself, will turn cataclysmic and remove the unenlightened parasites from her back. As I have said before, as much as I would love everyone on planet Earth to suddenly evolve a little and start caring about each other, everyone evolving to care just isn't on the cards and never really was. Life on Earth is all about individual spiritual growth, and it always has been. Throughout the epochs and the many empires' fragile grip on earthly power, such things have never ended well, nor should they. Anyone who lives to rule or for temporary earthly trappings is on the wrong path. Throughout the epochs of life on Earth, it is the millions of individual spirits on a human journey that, despite all the negativity that life on Earth has surrounded them by, they rise above it all and evolve in love, caring, compassion and consideration with each successive life they live. They are the succeeders on planet Earth.